Hey, welcome. My name's Gary Cody, and today what I want to do is I want to go over the line tracker and the use of the debug stream messages and on building VEX products and working with them. I found this particular thing is a great part. Here I'm just using one of the sensor parts. Many times what happens is they want some programs want you to take and build an actual what we call test bed. And test bed, boy, it takes up all your sensors and your motors and your controls, and then you don't have enough of them to go around your classroom. So what I found out, this is a great lesson, and what I'll do is I'll take a few students, put them in a group of 2 to 3. I give them a sensor, or they select a sensor, or a control, a motor, or something like that. And what they'll end up doing is they will build a little component that they can demonstrate that sensor with. They'll write software with it. They'll put together a PowerPoint presentation. Their group will present on this information and show the other students how to use this sensor, how to hook it up, how to connect it. And then the other thing is they'll make an actual, well, it could be 8.5 by 11, or it could be poster board size. They'll put down their group members' names. They'll put maybe a copy of a little bit of the code, and they'll have a printout of the actual picture of the sensor that they use, and I'll have them post that around the classroom. So now when we get to actually get into building robots and students are having trouble with certain sensors, they will go to that. I asked them to go to that group first. So, all right, well, let's get started here. I want to, let me close out this PowerPoint, and I've got debugger here. First of all, what I often do is I will go to File, New, and then when you select New File, this is what happens. It throws the screen on here, and it's task main, and it's got your little curly brackets in here. So your program, you can start writing your program in there. The first thing we want to do, though, is we want to put some motors and sensors. In our case, it's going to be sensors, and we select analog. So here you can put motors in, their selection. Well, ours is going to be this. So what I'm going to do is we're going to put in our sensors, and I'm going to go with, let's see, number 1 is going to be my right tracker. And so I got to go down here, find the line follower. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to type its name in here. I'm going to call it line tracker. And then I'm going to give it a name, and it's going to be right. Now I'm going to go to the next one here, and line follower. And we're going to call this line tracker center. And if you look, they're actually connected to N1, N2, and N3 that you see on the left-hand side. Those are the analog inputs on the Cortex. All right, the last line follower, and I'm pretty sure 3. Let me look at my notes here. Yep, sure enough, line tracker. Right, left. All right, I say apply, and I say okay. And if you notice up here, these pragma statements show up. And those pragma statements up there tell my computer program, hey, these are the names of these sensors, and it links the sensors to the program. I'd like to add another pragma statement up here. This one you might want to take note on. And what this one does, it actually opens the debug stream message. So Windows. And we put in a I'll call it a left bracket. And then we got to put in a double quote. Debug stream. And what this is going to do is, and I put in my right bracket, what it's going to do is when we open the program up to run, it's going to actually open up the debugger stream. And it's a box, a window that outputs text messages. So you get to see it here. So, all right, so let's take a look here. My first line here, what I'm going to do is I need to read an analog value into a variable. And I'm going to use an integer. And so I type in int, and I'm just going to call it x. And I'm going to follow with a semicolon. The semicolons, the brackets, the curly brackets, they're going to drive you nuts. This is all part of C programming. I'm not going to teach you how to program C. You really need to probably take a junior college class on programming, and that'll help you quite a bit. Anyway, I'm going to try and give you some of the ins and outs of it. All right, so we got our integer in there. And now what we want to do is we want to read in one of our sensor values. So I'm going to say x equals, and this is how it reads their sensors. You use sensor value, and then what happens is these things pop up here. You could pick either one of these. It's highlighting sensor value. I'm just going to hit enter, and it'll finish it for me. And I'm going to put a left parentheses. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my line tracker name up above. And the first one I'm going to use is left. And then I'm going to put my right bracket, and I got to finish the line off with a semicolon. It's like putting a period at the end of a sentence. Okay, so I just read that into X. Now what I want to do is I want to display that on my debug screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in right, and they've got it. As soon as I type in right, it kind of starts it for me. I want to do this guy right here. So I'm going to highlight him, and I'm going to hit the enter key, and it's going to finish that line for me. And there's a special format for this. And if you want to find out how to put this format in, what you need to do is you need to go up to help. I'll go up to help here right now. And you open help here, this F1. And what it's going to do is, I've got the window already open. Let me open it up for you. It's going to open up this guy right here. What you can do is, and I've opened them already, debugger here, and you want to go down to, let's see, debug stream right there. And it'll open up a window for you. Let me expand this out. And it'll show you the example of the debug stream window. But if you scroll down, it'll actually give you the right debug commands in here. We're going to use this one right here. We're going to put out a little bit of text to describe what we're looking for. I got to put this %D in here because that's going to hold the space for my value. I put a comma, and then I put the value I want to be printed out. So anyway, so that's if you need to find out how to format those. But here we go. We got to start out with this. I like to put a space in here, and I'm going to say left, because that was the sensor I read, equals. All right. And then we put in, that's a good question. It's not a semicolon, it's the double dot. And it's been a while since I had typing class. So now what we got to do is we got to tell it that we got to put in a % and a D, because we want to display our value. That's where it's going to show up. Then I put a comma, and the value we want to display is X. I put in a right bracket and end the line with that semicolon. So there we go. That's what we want to print out. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this, and then right click, and I'm going to copy, and I'm going to Control V, And then I got to go in here and I'm going to change this guy right here. I'm going to read the center value. And then I'm going to change my message, output message. So it says center equals. So right here, be right. And I'm going to change this one. Right, what is going to display. And the other issue is I'm going to have a bunch of information printed out on the debug stream. So what I need to do is I need to do what we'd call in the old days a carriage return line feed. So I'm going to do right, and I'm going to pick debug stream right here. Enter. Do this. I'm going to put a quote and then a space and a quote and a right bracket. Ooh, I picked the wrong thing. What I really wanted to pick was this guy right here. I got to go back and fix this. So I want to do a line. Yeah, debug line. And don't forget that semicolon at the end. So I think I got it all set up here. So let me bring up a window here. I've got my equipment over here. If you see, I've got a orange cable connected. The orange cable comes around, hooks into my PC. And what I've got is I've got 3 line trackers mounted here on here, and they're plugged in. I got my battery hooked up. I've got my sheet of paper. I got a white sheet of paper here, and down the center here, it's got a black. I used electrical tape. Now, electrical tape that I use is about 3/4 of an inch. They ask you to use about a 1/2 inch, but these sensors seem to work okay. So I've set the center sensor right over here. Checking out my power on. And I'm going to download this. So I go up here to Robot, compile and download program. Oh, it wants me to save it somewhere, so I got to give it a name. So line tracker, and I'm going to give it 2 eyes, line tracker 2, because I already got a line tracker 1 up there. Hit save, and now it's downloading it, and this little window pops up. This window right here is my debug window. It allows me to start the program. Remember, I'm still hooked up to the program, and here's my debug stream message. This came up automatically, this box right here, the debug stream, because of that pragma statement I entered in. Otherwise, you have to manually go to a drop-down menu and bring that screen up. So I haven't started the program yet, so I'm going to bring my screen over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit start. And you notice, hey, a line printed out. If I go over here and move my, let me go over here. If I go over here and I move my line tracker, nothing's happening. What the heck's going on? Well, hey, my program ran once. All right. I didn't have this program set up to run constantly, like you'd have a robot running, you know, in a competition. So what I got to do is I got to go back and add something to it. And what I add to it is a while statement. And inside the parentheses here, I got to put in some type of a statement in order for this to execute. It has to have a true output. Well, guess what? There's a constant called true. So I can just put that in, finish that out. I like to put a return in. And now I got to put a left curly bracket in. How much do I want to execute, or how much do I want to run in this while statement? I want to run all those statements. So I got to move down, and I put my other curly bracket down there at the end. All right, let's do this again. Robot, compile and download. It automatically saves any updates you do. There's my thing there. There's my startup window. Let's see, I think I can clear that. No, I guess I thought it would clear. Anyway, let's take a look at this now. I'm going to run the program. And sure enough, there it goes. It's running pretty quick. Now, this program runs a little fast. It runs quite fast, continuously. And you can see it, the output kind of is messed up a little bit. So what I'd like to do is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little delay in here. So let's stop this program. If I go over here to stop, close that out. I'm going to put a little delay in here. I'm going to put a 1 second delay in here. So we're going to do wait. And I'm going to select 1 millisecond right there. And I'm going to put in 1,000. All right. So in between readings or lines that it outputs, it's going to wait. All right, let's get this going again. Down, compile. No errors. Start the program. That's a little bit better. So if I move this up, you can see down at the bottom, it's adding a line on here. And right now, what it says is my left tracker has got a value of 142 or 43. My right one's got 142, 43. They're actually on the white line. And I'm going to lift this up. They suggest it's about 1/8 inch off the paper. And if you look at the center one, I've got that over the dark one. Oops, I want to get my camera back on here so you can see what I'm doing over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this thing. I'm going to move this to the left. As I move this to the left, the right line tracker is over the dark spot. And you can see it's a large number. And the other ones, my left and center, they're pretty high values too. And I think what the problem is, I don't have enough light in here. So what I need, oh, no, that's not the case. The case is I had it too high off. Yeah. So I need it a little bit closer. So yeah, there we go. Remember, the line trackers have to be about 1/8 of an inch off the sheet of paper. So there we go. What it's telling me is I'm over to the left. So now you got to compensate with your wheels. And maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn a light. I'm going to turn a light on in this room. And hey, this is a good reason why to work with a program like this, because you can actually see what the sensor values are. Yeah, that's a little bit better. That's a little bit better. So you can see the lower values on the center and the left one. Oh, I have too high again. Center and left, they have those values. Now I'm going to move it to the right. So I move it to the right. I'll hesitate over to center. Now you can see the left and the right. I have low values. And as I keep going to the right, the left one has the larger value. Oops, I'm getting too high off the paper. Got to be about 1/8 inch. And the right and the center has the smaller value. So anyway, that's what I want to kind of show you today. Like I said, this is a great tool for my students, great project. Instead of building a test bed and tying up all that equipment, the individual sensors, and then they became experts, and then they could help other students as the semester goes on. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm going to shut my Zoom off here if I get back to it. But that's it. And any questions, you can always contact me. So there I